Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another enlightening episode of the Unsaid Podcast. I'm your host, Sneha, and today we are embarking on a journey into the incredible world of healing. It's easy to forget about the deeper layers of our well being, the ones that truly sustain us. And I think healing isn't just a buzzword, it's a vital process that allows us to reconnect with our true selves and find peace amidst the chaos. To guide us through this transformative world, I'm thrilled to introduce our next guest, Mr. Govind. Govind's story is one such remarkable transformation. After more than 2 decades thriving into the corporate world, he felt a powerful call to leave it all behind and dive headfirst into the realm of healing. Today, he is a renowned wellness and spirituality coach and guide, dedicated to helping individuals and organizations reprogram their subconscious mind. Without wasting further time, let me introduce you to Mr. Govind. Hi, Mr. Govind.
Hi, Sneha.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
I have known you for, I think, a couple of years now, and I've done a session with you. So when I first approached you, I was like, will he say yes or no? And your answer was an instant yes. So thank you for supporting me on this journey. And we would like to know more about you. You're also a founder of a lab called Alchemist Lab, right?
Alchemy Lab.
Alchemy Lab. Okay. So let's dig deeper into it. So how did you think about leaving your corporate job and what just happened? What was the magic?
Well, if you generally look at the world, everyone's in an eat, sleep, drink, entertain mode, and that's how it's going. And if you see, the corporate world was also kind of all about materialism, targets, achieve more, and it was making a lot of people sick. You can see that.
Yes.
We all know people who the stress is getting to them. So what are the options when it comes to healing? So traditionally, it's the medical healthcare facility in terms of pharma.
Right.
And then you have traditional other modes of healing which have existed like Ayurveda and stuff. But there are also other interesting modalities which are slightly more faster, much more effective. So this caught my fancy about 20 plus years ago.
Okay.
And I got into some of these modalities. I trained myself, I certified, practiced, but I was always part of the corporate world. So I couldn't, I had responsibilities, so we couldn't jump and, get into this. But about 4 years ago, I decided, enough is enough. And something came along, something very interesting, and that made me switch and start this company called Alchemy Lab, where we use the modality of biohacking, and we help a lot of people to heal in a non-invasive way, without consuming anything or any chemicals or any sort of that stuff.
I have had this experience where whenever I talk to people, be it from this wellness space or be it from any space, they're like, 2020 was a life-changing year, When we think about it, it was like, okay, it was such a stressful year, so unpredictable and we don't know what's going to happen. But I think you're one of them, your life changed during that year. So what exactly happened? Where was your calling?
The calling was, in fact, it's a great example to use as well. A lot of people realize that they can't depend on the traditional healthcare, and the medicine, the pharma and stuff, because it kind of, and that's where people started looking outside. Okay, there could be something more. Right. Until then, everyone had this, because that's how it's been indoctrinated, right? Over 50, 60, 70 years. So that was a big awakening where people started opening up to other things, so that was definitely something that happened. And then in terms of COVID, another thing that happened is traditionally at the time of Louis Pasteur, there was another contemporary called Antoine Berchamp.
Okay.
So each of them came up with a certain theory. Louis Pasteur had the germ theory, and this guy had something known as terrain theory. Terrain. It's called, the terrain model.
Okay.
And in that model, he said, the organism, that's the human being, if you can keep your system healthy and robust, then whatever be it, it cannot impact you. like any virus or pathogen or anything like that.
Your physical system.
Yeah, so there is physical system, or there are many layers to our body. So there is an astral body, there's a physical body, there's an astral body, mental body, emotional body. In the Indian system, they call it Annamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. So various layers to our body. And typically, we've been bought into believing that a virus comes in or a pathogen comes in and, it's affecting us and we need to pop a pill to get cured.
True.
But if you can keep your energy body intact and robust through various practices, healthy practices, then nothing can affect you. So during COVID, I've actually hugged a lot of COVID people. I never got COVID throughout the entire period. So it is possible. So what happened is Berkham's theory was eclipsed by Louis Pasteur, because Louis Pasteur's theory was germ theory. It's like you will get affected by the virus or anything anyway. You take a vaccine or have medicines. Now this, from a business standpoint, is profitable.
Correct.
That one, you being healthy is not profitable to the corporations.
To them, yes.
So this guy got eclipsed, and Pasteur and his contemporaries, whoever supported him, they prevailed. So the current healthcare is based on this guy's model. But the thing is that there could be more such COVID-like incidents we can expect in the future. And if you don't take action right now, like 2020 was a wake-up call.
True.
So you have the opportunity right now to build your system in such a way so it's so robust that nothing can affect it. And I can give an examples. A lot of people would have heard of Wim Hof, who's very famous for breathwork.
I have.
He also has a lot of Guinness World Records in terms of being under the ice for 2 hours and things like that. Yeah.
Under the ice?
Okay. And so this guy and few of his followers, they subjected themselves to a test where, under a hospital, they actually had their body injected with virus and bacteria and everything. And all of them, their bodies rejected it.
Okay.
So that's proof of the thing that if you keep your system robust, it'll reject and it'll, prevent you from getting any of these. So that's something that people need to be working on towards.
Yeah,
so
as you rightly said, I think taking example of COVID, it also had a lot to do with your mind, right? With your mental health. So when people used to get scared that, I am certainly going to get COVID, those were the people who actually started getting attracted to that disease. I would say attracted because they attracted that. But even I'm a person who never got COVID, right? And I'm like, okay, fine. If it has to happen, it'll happen. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I never got COVID in spite of being outside or going for work or whatever it is. So I think you're right that mental health kind of plays a lot of, the mental health is very important in terms of your physical health as well. It plays an important role, right?
Yeah. And in fact, that's the other thing about the energy body. And right now, there's a lot of research supporting this as well. People think something like cancer is hereditary, and also you get it from pathogens or whatever reasons. But in reality, it has a lot to do with how stressed your mind is. How a lot of stored up, pent up emotions or some childhood abuse and things like that all manifests as cancer. Recently there was a small shots by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's one of the geniuses in this field. He says cancer is not hereditary because even in a family where they had generation after generation of cancer, they had an adopted child who obviously is not part of the DNA.
True.
Even that child got cancer. So it has to do with epigenetics and other things. So if that's a possibility, you can also heal yourself by removing the stressors. Stress is going to be a constant. We can't, unless we go 6 feet underground, stress is going to be there. Now, how do you manage stress? So mental health plays a big role in it.
True.
So a lot of our solutions that we right now work with people is to do by addressing the mental part of it, because you have spas and other things where people can go for massage and for the body. But most of the problems originate in your mind. So if you fix it here, then the body will follow suit.
And the spas are, it's an amazing form of rejuvenation, but I think it's very temporary. Like you go to the spa, you enjoy that 1 hour or 2 hours of bliss, and then you come back and then you're back to normal life. Like, it's like as if nothing happened. Okay, that was just like an hour or two of my enjoyment, and then I'm back to my daily routine. So I think the spa has to be here.
Yeah. So even in our lab, people come, they have specific issues. There are frequency machines that help them. But I always tell, a light therapy or a sound therapy, all these are props. If you don't fix it here, in 2 weeks later, you'll be back again. And, instead of someone going to a bar to have alcohol,
Yes.
this becomes your new drug.
Yes.
Go to a spa or go for sound healing session, but, so as part of my other roles, I work as a wellness and spirituality coach, trying to teach people about how to live life, how to manage emotions, success, failures, relationships, and things like that. So.
And coming to the theme of our podcast, it's about the unsaid, right? So there are a lot of people who don't know about this word called biohacking. Even when I was talking to you, we were having a conversation before we started the podcast that, I've never heard this term called biohacking. For me also, it was, I'm learning so many new things with this podcast journey. Every episode we are learning new things. So I'm sure a lot of people who will listen to us don't even know about what this word is all about. What is this? What is this technique? What is this method? So I want to dig a little bit deeper on this particular method. If you can just
So in terms of healing, as I was saying in the beginning of our podcast, you have the healthcare system, and on the other extreme, you have energy healers. So there are various modalities like Reiki, pranic healing, access bars, and a lot of stuff. So these are effective as well, but unfortunately, or for whatever reasons, science is controlled by the scientific world, and they need literature backing it up. They need they need substantial proof and stuff like that, and before they accept. But in the energy healing world, it's all subjective. So you have a headache, an energy healer can work with you. 15 minutes later, the headache is gone. Now, if you ask for proof of that, how did that happen? They might not be able to produce it. So you have that on the one end of the spectrum. So we are in the right. Biohacking is something which is in the sweet spot in between.
Okay.
Healthcare and thing, where there's a lot of science and there is a lot of subjective healing that happens immediately. And biohacking as a term is basically your ability to hack your body,
your
biology, and then fix it. So it is largely to do with sleep, getting enough sunlight. If our food chain, as you know, is highly corrupted and toxic, so doing a bit of intermittent fasting wherever required, supplementing with the right minerals, vitamins. It's just a combination of these things. And with that, you'll be able to fix your health so that you can increase your longevity. You can improve your mitochondrial health, your cells. So, things like walking barefoot on the grass or on the beach, all these things. Basic stuff which our ancients knew. Yeah. So right now it's come back in a fancy, nice term called biohacking.
Yeah, I know this vitamin D problem, I think, 4 out of 5 people have. I would say rather 4.5 out of 5 people have this issue right here. And it's amazing how there are certain methods where we can always, go through this or heal through this without actually going through, what do you call it? Those typical medicines, right?
Yes, you don't actually need it. I would, and in if I have to be fair, they are the alternate system where putting chemicals into the body should be called alternate medicine. But unfortunately, the rest of them are called alternate medicine, and that's called mainstream. Medical. So, yep.
Yeah, I think there's nothing right or wrong. I think it's all about how you see it, what works for you, what doesn't work for you.
I would generally go to a medical professional only in terms of extreme things like surgeries required. At that point in time, obviously, the alternate therapy will not work. Where doctors are required and the system is required, it's required.
And also because not many people know about it, right? Yeah. Like I told you, I'm one of them who didn't even know about this term. I started learning it now. Thank you, Govind, for being here. And we will probably dig deeper into this biohacking method in our next episodes. And definitely we would love to have you again. And thank you so much for sparing your time and being here.
Thank you, Sneha, for the opportunity.
Thank you.